I gravitate more towards that storytelling aspect. So bringing that into the pop punk writing sessions has been really cool. And I'm not saying y'all and all those country words in these songs, but I am still telling stories, which is something that I've really learned to do since being here in Nashville.
By the time people are seeing this, they'll have heard that single at long
Mhm.
last. People That I Love Leave. Tell me a little bit about kind of inspiration points, not just lyrically but musically as well, because I think it's fair to say this is a sound that you haven't really explored in a minute. You're clearly very familiar with it, but it's been a little minute since we've heard you kind of in this mode again.
Yeah, I found myself kind of inching toward this the past couple of years. I had an album come out in 2021 called Thrive, and I wanted to incorporate my pop punk roots with country music. And while I'm really proud of that record, it didn't quite translate and it didn't land the way I wanted it to. And I started thinking about it, and I really just, my heart wanted to go to back to rock music. And I was keeping that foot into country music because I had spent 10 years in this town in Nashville, really just working really hard and having some success. And I'm very proud of that. But I think I just wouldn't let myself fully go where my heart was wanting me to go because I was afraid of letting go of something I'd worked so hard towards for 10 years. So once I kind of let go of that fear, I started writing the kind of music that I had sort of suppressed for so long. And I went to LA. I wrote with one of my best friends, Ali Tamposi, a few times, and we wrote this song together with Nick Long, her husband Roman, and Andrew Luce, and it was just it kind of fell out. It was one of those songs where I wanted to write like a really like I guess secretive mental health song that was veiled in this pop punk yummy production, but at the core of it was it had a lot of depth, and it's about trauma and not being able to get past letdowns and how they can kind of find their way into your current relationships. So I'm really proud about how we were able to present such a heavy song in kind of a lighthearted pop punk way.
Well, I mean, that's the good thing about a lot of pop punk and emo, isn't it? Is that you can kind of translate those issues into something a little bit more palatable and sing along, which is, I guess when it's at its peak, right? Those are the kind of moments that I always enjoy most in that genre.
Yeah, I mean, I always think about the live shows when I'm writing, and my favorite shows are rock shows. So going to a rock show and accidentally all like connecting on a deep level when you're just singing along to something really fun is just, I think, a really beautiful thing. And culturally within rock music is what makes it so special to me.
Yeah, 100%. And it's nice. I've spoken with a lot of artists recently about how, I mean, it's no real secret, is it, that like pop punk and emo in particular, it's having its biggest kind of commercial revival and commercial moment it's had in a long time. But it never went away. And people like you and me know it never really went away. And it's really nice to hear that this has kind of been a bit of a natural progression for you over a couple of years. How was it actually coming back to this style again? Because while I'm sure it's never left you as a fan, it had been a minute since you'd properly integrated yourself as a songwriter in that world. Did it kind of come straight back? Is it a different mindset for you? How was that approach for you?
It was really interesting because I realized that my history in country music as a songwriter has helped me tremendously in this new chapter because I have I guess a new sense of myself in songwriting and just making sure that I am telling a story in the song. And I love a good catchy song that's just kind of not meaningless, but it's just a sing along, and it's like the purpose of the song is to be a hit. I love those kinds of songs, but I gravitate more towards that storytelling aspect. So bringing that into the pop punk writing sessions has been really cool. And I'm not saying y'all and all those country words in these songs, but I am still telling stories, which is something that I've really learned to do since being here in Nashville. So the progression has definitely been natural, but it's been interesting to kind of feel myself more confident in these sessions as like a woman in her 30s as opposed to when I was 18, just starting in Hey Monday, like totally not sure what to do because all these people had already been successful and just like doing what, they think is best for us. So I have a new sense of self, which is really nice.
How much kind of new music are you playing around with then? Clearly, there's been a few sessions and stuff. Is it a full album's worth? Are you just experimenting with singles at the minute? What are you kind of playing with?
I definitely have an album's worth of songs right now. I have a Dropbox link that I've been sharing with my team. There's about 12 songs in there right now. And I'm working towards an album for sure. I don't know when that album will happen because I do realize this is a chapter of rebranding in a way and just kind of like, I don't know, there's probably a lot of people who think I'm still doing country music. So I think it's going to take a second and I don't want to rush things. I want to make sure that I like get everybody on the same page as far as what kind of music I'm doing. Like this is where I'm headed and then hit them with an album. But yeah, I'm continuing to write. I'm continuing to collaborate. A lot of really cool collaborations in the works with other artists. And I'm also writing for other artists, which has been really cool. I have a single for Taylor Acorn out right now, and that's been really fun. So I'm exploring this new kind of aspect of my career, which has been great. But yeah, definitely an album in the works. I'm excited.
That's very exciting to hear. And you mentioned as well, that feeling you get at rock shows. Obviously, that's expressing all these things we can already hear in this first track, and I'm clearly it's going to be the same moving forward. You must have an eye on the live stage when you're writing music like this. You must be thinking, okay, it's time to get back out there and do a big rock show again. What's your kind of thoughts on that? And will we, I guess, see you back doing some live shows later this year, maybe?
Definitely. I mean, I'm working really hard on that. Again, with this kind of new chapter of mine, it is a lot of like pivoting, and I'm obviously everybody's used to seeing me on country tours and at country venues and country festivals. So it's like, it's going to take me a second to kind of pivot that, but yeah, I mean, when I'm in the writing session, I can't help but think of it a live show for sure. I've come from the era of touring being the way to be discovered and the way to grow your fan base. And that was before social media and like, the ways of getting discovered that way first. And then you go on tour. Like I'm from the touring um, era of artistry. So I definitely think about that and I'm excited because a lot of these songs are like even more punk than what you're hearing now. So the live show is going to be really fun when I'm able to like do a full set of the new songs.
It's funny how you say like adjusting with the audience a bit, because I'm sure that's true for your new audience. But for people from back in the day, we know you from Hey Monday originally. This is obviously not a massive transition from what you did back then, for sure. So it does make a lot of kind of cohesive sense. And I wanted to kind of mention briefly. I know it's a couple of years back now, but there was that brief little reunion moment you guys had with Hey Monday where you did like a couple of gigs. Was it a couple of gigs or just a one-off show? I can't remember now.
It was just that one
Just
show,
that
and it
one
was at
show,
the,
sure.
yeah, it was here in Nashville. It was at the end of 2019, and we sold the venue out, and it was just like kids that were really young that we were like, how do you know Hey Monday? And then there was people our age, people older than us, and it was just like, and looking to my left and right at Mike and Alex, and they haven't aged a day. It was just very trippy for me. But yeah, it was a really incredible time, and we were thinking about doing that annually, and then COVID happened and it kind of just like screwed everything up. So I definitely want to come back to that. But I think when that was happening, it was around the time where I had my album coming out or that I was working on it. I forget the timing of that. I think I was just working on it. And, I had some time to play around with that. But now with the new stuff, it's just finding time to do the Hey Monday thing has been definitely difficult. And I'd love to do some one-offs and things like that, but I think the idea of a tour is like that's a big undertaking with my solo career happening at the same time. So yeah.
Yeah, that's understandable for sure. I mean, you're busy people, but it's. I did want to ask as well on that kind of 2019 show. Obviously, we're going back a minute, and my God, so much has changed in the world since that time. But did you feel like part of doing that again may have sparked what you're doing now? Like, I mean, actually getting back with those guys and playing those specific songs again, and like you say, seeing not just people kind of similar age to yourself, but that type of music does kind of keep coming back for younger generations, doesn't it? That's got to be kind of inspiring as you go on to this next era that's very much indebted to that time.
Yeah, I think it was definitely it shed a light on how much that genre is still in me, and it's a part of my like DNA, like especially when I'm performing, it's just the way that I perform too. So when that show happened and everybody went home and talked about it, it was like, my country team were like, we've never seen that side of you. That was like amazing. And like, I mean, that's who I am, but I guess when you're playing a country festival and you're playing your country songs, it's just innately you're performing differently. And it's not like you're putting on an act, it's just the way it is. So I I think that did contribute. And then once 2020 started happening and it was like getting worse and we were stuck at home and I started writing on Zoom, it just felt like a very reflective time for me and going back to the memories of being on the road and how that kind of music shaped who I am as a person even. I just wanted to kind of dive back into that and still keep my country influence intact. But that's kind of, I think 2019, like that reunion show definitely spurred some ideas for that for sure.
Well, what's interesting is now that we hit 2023, we're at 15 years since that Hey Monday album, which is crazy to think for a start. Absolutely crazy to think. But whenever we hit these anniversaries, there's like this. I kind of always like to ask the same question about us, which is not so much what has changed, because particularly with someone like yourself, that's completely apparent. We can see how much you've changed and grown as an artist and tried all these other things as a songwriter. But is there anything that stayed the same for you there? Is there anything you learned making that album that has actually stuck with you as a songwriter in all these years since?
Oh, that's a good question. I think when I when I actually record vocals, I'm very aware of making sure that it's something that I can pull off live and that it's like I can do it in one take instead of doing different sections. And I've done the section thing just because sometimes you need to when you're recording, but I've been very aware of, making sure that I can actually pull off these songs live. So I was doing that when I was 18 and like thinking about like, okay, when I'm running around, am I going to be able to, keep this up? And I do the same thing now. And also, I think maybe not from day one, but a few years into my career, learning where my threshold is vocally and making sure that I don't push it too far because I'm gonna have to sing these songs sometimes multiple times a day, depending on like the promo that we're doing. So just really vocal things are what stuck with me, and just taking care of my instrument the best I can.
Yeah, definitely something good to learn that early on, right? That's how you're going to project forward in a career if you master those kind of things at a very young age.
Yeah, I mean, I want to keep doing this forever. So I'm not trying to like blow my voice out and have to get surgery on my nodules and all that stuff. So I'm actually I'm on tour. I try to be as social as possible, but I also am kind of like one of the more low key people on tour because I do care about not just destroying my literal like way of life. So
Yeah, very
yeah.
sensible way to be for sure. I'll leave you with this, Cassidy, which is really kind of what is directly next. So we know there's a load of songs kind of semi ready to go, let's say, and you're kind of building towards something a little bigger. Really nice reaction to this single so far, as I'm sure you can see, particularly from a lot of the
Mhm.
old school fans out there. More new music kind of imminent. What's a kind of rough timeline on and when we might hear some more from this project?
Well, the next thing that I have in the pipeline that I haven't announced yet is a feature on People That I Love Leave, which I'm really excited about. I don't have a date yet. Well, I do, but I'm one of those realists that just I want to wait until it's like in the system, ready to go. Everybody's approved of it and everything. So that's like right away next, as soon as possible. A music video for the song. It's done. It's finished. We're looking for a premiere partner for that. So that's been really fun. And then definitely more singles before the end of the year. I've got a couple of contenders that I'm tossing around for probably June, because we'll have like the feature of People That I Love Leave, and then that'll give it some juice. And then June probably be the next single.
Very exciting stuff. I mean, you know that I've got to ask you on that feature just for a hint, just a little hint, just a rough kind of little clue or something.
Okay, it's a woman.
As vague as we get. Okay.
I know.
I did say vague. That's fine.
Yeah, yeah, you
Okay.
said one clue, and I don't want to give it away. So that's there's a lot of women out there.
All
Sorry
right.
about
That'll
that.
do. That'll do. That'll make